Okay, let me ask you this. When you think of the Tour de France, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Probably the yellow jersey, the Alps climbs, or maybe even Lance Armstrong's drama. But here's the thing, I've been obsessed lately with a story that's flying under the radar this year, and it's not about the favorites, or the big-name sprinters. It's about a team that finished with 3 riders after enduring crashes, heatstroke, and a race that basically tried to break them. Yeah, I'm talking about Lotto-Intermarché at the Tour de France Femmes. And honestly, their journey is a masterclass in resilience, chaos, and what it really means to race when you've got nothing left to lose. Let's unpack this. /and alright, so first off, this team wasn't exactly coming in with a stacked roster. 6 Tour debutants? A young squad? And they'd put a former speed skater in a leadership role? On paper, that sounds like a recipe for disaster. But here's the twist. Sandrine Tas, the speed skater turned cyclist, isn't just some novelty act. Her background? That explosive power from skating translates perfectly to the sprints and breakaways in cycling. But leading a team through the Tour? That's a whole different beast. What makes this fascinating to me is how her perspective must be wildly different from a lifelong cyclist. Like, imagine switching from 7-minute races on ice to 4-hour road marathons. The mental shift alone? Insane. /and now, let's talk about the chaos. The opening days of the Tour were brutal. Crashes, heat so intense it felt like riding through a hairdryer, and by the time they got to Nice, half their team was gone. 3 riders left. 3. And I'm sitting here thinking, what does that do to a team's morale? To their strategy? You can't just play it safe when you're down to your last cards. You've got to gamble. You've got to attack. Because honestly, what's the alternative? Fold and go home? That's not racing, that's surrender. What many people don't realize is that in pro cycling, the drama isn't just on the road. It's in the team meetings, the medical tents, the split-second decisions that define whether you're fighting for the podium or just trying to survive. /and surviving is exactly what they did. But here's the deeper question this raises. Why do we glorify the winners when stories like Lotto-Intermarché might be more inspiring? Think about it. In a sport where the spotlight is always on the yellow jersey or the record-breaking climbs, a team like this reminds us that just finishing can be its own kind of victory. They didn't win a stage. They didn't make the podium. But they showed up, got smashed by the race, and still said, "We're here to race." That's raw. That's human. And maybe that's what makes women's cycling so electrifying right now, because it's still proving itself, still fighting for its place in the shadows of the men's peloton. /and none thing I keep coming back to is this idea of showing up. Sandrine Tas said they're not just here to finish, but to show ourselves. That line haunts me a little. Because in a way, every rider in that race is showing themselves, on the climbs, in the crashes, when they're vomiting on the side of the road. The Tour doesn't just test legs, it tests souls. And for Lotto-Intermarché, 3 riders left at the finish line? That's not a failure. It's a statement. We're here. We're not ready to be ignored. /and so here's my closing thought. What if the real story of this Tour isn't about who won, but who refused to disappear? In a world that only remembers winners, maybe it's time to cheer louder for the ones who got broken and still kept pedaling. Because next time you're watching a race, ask yourself, what's more powerful? A landslide victory, or a team that turns disaster into defiance? Let me know what you think. And if you're still here, thanks for watching. Hit subscribe if you want more breakdowns like this, because trust me, there's way more to cycling than just bikes.